And so Billy asked me on his 15th anniversary, could I tell some stories of the violence and the mayhem that might visualize what the battle metaphorically represents. Because this was a harsh place to be.
And the lover, sighing like a furnace, with a woeful ballad made to his mistress's eyebrow.
Pretty good.
Good job, Paul.
Now, Paul, what's the tagline here for our story?
This is 1793 at Greenfield Station. Scout William Hall loved Betsy Steele.
This is one of my favorite stories. I tend to tell it too much, but I gotta tell it again because it's wonderful. William Hall eventually becomes one of the leaders of Tennessee, but right now he's 18. He's working the forts north of Nashville, Blitzo and Greenfield, up towards the Kentucky border. Not really the border there, but geographically, that's to get the idea. 1793, did you say? Yes. 1793, smallpox is erupting out of Cincinnati and working its way through Kentucky. Now, in those days, before the famous smallpox of the 1810s, that's when they realized that the milkmaids who milked the cows got cowpox and never smallpox, they figured it out, and they started inoculating with cowpox. But in the 18th century, this is Cotton Mather's research and idea, a good Puritan man. We need to scrape the testicles, the open sores, of someone who has the brown pox, not the black pox. The black pox, you're dead in about 48 hours to 7 days. The brown pox, you get sick, but you get better. So everybody was taking the scraping of the testicles of a brown pox and getting, now it's about 14 days you're not feeling too well. Fever, a little bit of diarrhea, some vomiting, but you're not going to die. Why that's happening, what's your name?
William Hall.
That's right, William Hall is at Greenfield Station because it's undermanned. He and his friend William Neely. You're too old. William Neely. You're William Neely. Come on. Well, you can hold my rifle. You need your rifle. More here. William Neely and William Hall are best buddies. They've been commissioned by the powers that be to be scouts. Scouts is the preferred job in the frontier because you never have to work the field in this heat. But what do? You take your knapsack and your gear, your kit, and you leave on Monday morning, and you do not come back till Saturday night. You do get Sunday off. How long do you think it took the Indians to figure that out? But that was the deal. 6 days out looking for trail for Indian sign. And you would pick a station, spread you out, and you would circle out and about. And you'd be gone 6 days, unless trouble, and you'd come back and warn everybody. While they're at the fort, William Neely did not get the inoculation. William Hall did. William Hall's not feeling too good. He's laying about in just his hunting shirt without his pantaloons. When one day at Greenfield Station in the afternoon, men and slaves are out in the fields working. Group of Cherokee ambush them, attack them. Hear the sounds in Greenfield. William gets up, puts on his pantaloons, grabs his rifle and his gear. He and Neely go running out in the field. Now around here we have all those zigzag fences, right? Think of those fences when I tell you the story. They go running down the field and they see the confusion and the melee of all the farmers and the slaves running everywhere in confusion. You two are 18, you don't know any better. And you go running pell-mell into the fight along the fence row, running right into about 24 Cherokee and Shawnee. I'm not sure who they are. Kaboom! Big volley. You guys hit the dirt behind the rails, and the rail fences splinter everywhere. Pieces go in the air. Bullets whistling over your head, says the old William Hall. Got a hint there? The old William Hall. All right. Now, you two duck down. Fire goes off. Splinters everywhere. Up pops William Hall, Tennessee hero. Finds a Cherokee hiding in the wheat fields, scares him up and starts following them and fires. hits him through the body, and he remembers as an old man, I saw the bottoms of his moccasins as he flew through the air. Isn't it interesting how we remember things? William Neely, always playing second fiddle to William Hall, always second best. He made varsity before he did. He got to start from, all that kind of stuff, right? William Neely wants to help. He raises his gun up and it never goes off. William Hall looks at his rifle and says, your flint is turned. He never got a shot off. Your flint is turned. Take it? Double up. Something. Twisted, sideways, upside down. Your flint is turned. You both hightail it back to the fort, and the people at the fort cover for you. But you saved a good part of those lives out there in the field by your heroics, even though your rifle didn't work. They're back at Greenfield Station. You're still feeling bad from the pox. 3 days pass. Things are calming down. You two have been hired to help people carry some furniture from Greenfield down to Blitzos. It seems to be going okay all day long. But you, William Hall, are worried because it just doesn't seem right. You and I are going back and forth all day long, and no one's bothering us. I don't even hear a bird. A fellow by the name of James Steele, who's a know-it-all, James Steele gets his hankering to move from Greenfield Station and make a big move. He has a daughter named who?
Betsy Steele.
Betsy Steele.
I don't think so.
All right, Dad.
A little young.
Hi, Betsy. I haven't seen you for so long.
Betsy, you are 17, right, Betsy? Okay, I believe you. Betsy is 17. Beautiful black raven hair. Oh, that's the best I can do with it. Beautiful black raven hair. William loves her deeply, but has never really affirmed his love or communicated to her. He's telling this story as an old man. He's 80-some years old. It's 1850. And the Nashville Banner monthly magazine at the time realizes that their greatest generation is dying off. And they want to interview them. So they interviewed 10 principal founders of Tennessee for their stories of the colonial frontier. You are telling this story as an old man. And you remember, Betsy, everything I've told you is so that you can tell us about Betsy. James says, I need to move. Steele needs to move. James Steele needs to move. And you say to him, don't be an ass. Go ahead.
Don't be an ass, James.
All right. But James says, I'm going to move anyway. It's no problem. You guys have been moving things all day long. No problem. And you two offer, you say, we'll escort you. And you say, no.
No. Oh, we don't need your help.
There you go. We don't need your help. We're okay. Steele and Neil. Steele. Hope you got your flint straightened out by now. James and his family leave. Betsy goes with them. Not even a quarter mile from Greenfield Fort, you two are eating in a cabin, and you hear the gunshots. This is Betsy, your secret love, with raven black hair. You both run out fast you can. Again, this, in your character, you run to the sound of the gunfire. You come across the scene, James Steele, shot through the heart. He is dead. Dead, dead, dead. They come across Betsy, grievously wounded, scalped, all of her beautiful raven hair gone. She's moaning face down in the dirt. William picks her up and cradles her in his arms, and she dies. 60 years later, he tells you all the story of the field and the moving and James Steele, so he can pause for one brief moment and tell you his intimate thoughts. You now will read the words that William Hall said 60 years later after this tragedy.
Whilst Betsy, the daughter, a beautiful girl of about 17 years of age, was lying on the ground, terribly, mortally wounded, scalped and bleeding. She was faintly moaning when I came up and was lying on her face. She had fine, long black hair, and the wretches had borne it away, together with a large portion of her dress, which they had cut off in haste.
60 years later, that's what he remembers. What did Castile's daughter, who becomes Dunlap, remember 60 years later? How did they live their lives? How did they make amends? How did they get themselves right?